Guys, I think I have an opinion and I don't think you're ready for it. So please brace yourselves, cause here it comes. In the era of shitting on this show and absolutely raw dogging anyone who enjoys it, I am here to claim My Hero Academia is great. My Hero Academia Season 7 has not only matched what came before it, but has shot straight past it to become the best season the series has to offer. From the writing to the animation, everything pops off. And being in the final arc, the story had to close curtains on many huge plot lines that have been developing for years now. And while it does slip a little bit, it wraps up almost everything perfectly. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves and start from the start. The United States of America's #1 hero, Star and Stripe. Before even getting into the details, this character has the most hype introduction in the series. I mean, what could be more epic than to pitch this brand new character against the main antagonist in an all-out battle above the clouds? All for One vs Star and Stripe, in my opinion, packs some of the best fight choreography Horikoshi has to offer. I have said this in the past, you don't think of complex fight strategies or creative paneling when you look at MHA's fights. The mantra here is to go beyond plus ultra. A single climactic punch often does the job, because it's not really about the fight, it's about the emotional weight it carries. But in this case, we don't know shit about Star, we have no connection with her character. So what we needed to make this fight hit hard is sheer hype. And oh boy does it hit hard. A giant air titan crushing All for One with a big humanoid slap and then combining the jet lasers to make a spear and impale his ass. It's so cool. Then, as a cherry on top, the fight ends with this emotional scene as Star fades away to death. Yeah, she dies, and I know this is what you're here for. See, I don't want to be that guy, but I'm kind of 50-50 on this. Seeing such an amazing character leave in just 2 episodes is sad. Imagine the team up fights we could get in the final war if she stuck around. But I don't believe her character was quote-unquote wasted. She was introduced fighting the big bad. There is no way she was winning the fight. That's Deku's job. She was basically used as a plot device to weaken All for One and as an explanation on why international heroes won't be involved in the war. I feel like people often view literary terms like plot device or plot convenience with a negative connotation, and their lazy use is annoying, but when done right, these are legitimate techniques authors can use in their stories. Imagine how lame it would be if we never got anything from the western side, knowing they exist in MHA's world, and sending their biggest gun to defeat some power, let's be honest, is very western. And amidst all this, we never appreciate Star as a character. Becoming a fan favorite in such a big cast filled with lovable characters in just 2 episodes is insane. But I guess that is why people talk about her being underutilized to this extent, right? Why would people care if they didn't like her in the first place? Anyways, moving on, it turns out Aoyama is the UA traitor. And to be frank, I never gave 2 shits about this plotline. It feels and is very important, but weirdly it never got any attention till this point. The idea of a traitor was pitched and then we just jumped to the reveal. It was barely even a plotline. After this, the war breaks out and Shuro goes against his brother in a monologue heavy fight, which we will discuss later, but for now, let's go over the most controversial segment of the final arc, Bakugo's death. Everyone has given all they have to stop this villain, but nothing works. He is too strong. Without Deku, they stand no chance, and he is not here, so what can they do?
There are stories about every hero, how they became great. Most have one thing in common. Their bodies moved before they had a chance to think, almost on their own.
Even though it's not directly mentioned, Bakugo's body moved on its own. He goes in for one final blow, giving it his all one last time. This 2-minute long sequence filled with flashy animation hides the truth behind Bakugo's attack. In all of Bakugo's previous battles, he's either extremely angry or super pumped up. But this is different. This is not a hype-inducing moment we all should get excited about. It's Bakugo going off in nothing but regret. It's not a complete victory that he fights for. His entire body aches, and right now all he can think of is, can he still catch up to Deku? The same person who bullied and looked down on his friend his entire life is now wondering if he can ever catch up to him. The burden of being responsible for his idol's retirement is still haunting him, and in this exact moment that uncanny feeling sinks in. You realize what seemed to be your favorite character's big moment is his last. Okay, yeah, I gotta stop, I'll fucking cry. And Hurry cares so much for me that in the very next chapter, he sucks my tears back up. Headshot and Best Jeanist will stitch his exploded heart back to normal. I hate this so much. And my problem isn't even Bakugo coming back, cause firstly, it's Battle Shonen, so I expected that. But secondly, his dying here is so dumb, cause he basically died achieving absolutely nothing. And some aspects of his character are still unresolved. The problem here is why. I just don't understand the thought process behind killing the most popular character of your series and then plotting their comeback in the very next chapter. Cause fake out deaths are often used to create tension among the audience. You think the character will come back, but you don't know for sure till the author gives it to you, naturally adding stakes to the story. But here it does the complete opposite. Even hinting at Bakugo's revival right after he dies achieves nothing. The tension and suspense we had of whether Bakugo will come back is gone. But on top of that, you have also killed any weight his death had in no time. So what was the point of this? And I don't even want to talk about how they bring him back, cause that's another can of worms. What do you mean Edshot just randomly pre-borrowed a water bubble from Wash? Bro, you're going to fight a war, a bath ain't helping you. Now, do I think this completely destroys any sort of stakes in the entire story? No, that is not true. Let's be honest, there are no Battle Shonen with at least some fake outs. I would argue MHA actually does fewer when compared to some other shows. God, we are so far into the video and have not talked about Deku at all. I think it's time we get to our boy. Episode 13, in my opinion, showcases the coolest Deku we have seen in the anime so far. He goes against All For One with his brand new quirk, Gear Shift, and it's just a little bit OP in a sense that it ignores the law of inertia, allowing Deku to travel at light speed in an instant. But I don't think you still get how OP this quirk is. When I say in an instant, I mean Deku can just be standing and the next second he's flying at the light speed. Mass is not supposed to travel at light speed. This quirk literally breaks reality. So it's not surprising that Deku absolutely wipes the floor with All For One. But wait, I think racism is bad. That felt abrupt, right? Well, that's how this mutant discrimination mini arc feels in the story. MHA's social commentary has been really impressive since the start. Stuff like the cycle of poverty, quirk discrimination, the abundance of heroes, and of course mutant discrimination add the depth a seemingly simple superhero world lacks. But it never went too deep into these ideas and kept it very surface level. But now that we are in the final arc, everything has to conclude. Whether the plotline was properly set up or not, it has to be addressed now. This had me and many other fans wondering how the story goes about the social themes it has introduced, and the result we got is acceptable. After the Gear Shift fight, we suddenly jump to the mutant discrimination arc, and right off the bat, Spinner, the figurehead of the mutants uprising, has been reduced to a giant monster, incapable of forming a proper sentence, let alone having cohesive thoughts. This establishes how this is not a nuanced, complex dive into the tragic topic of racism, but very simple and bare bones. Essentially just Shoji and Korra on the quote-unquote good side, asking the mob to not give into the rage and be better than the ones oppressing them. What's the difference between you and them if you're also committing just as atrocious crimes, destroying public property and risking human lives by attacking a hospital? Now, this is a theme in our world as well. Instead of focusing on the rioters' message and why they are rioting in the first place, people focus on the damage their riot does. This is not bad, obviously, that is an important aspect to focus on, but what it does is drive the narrative away from having comprehensive conversations to just villainizing one side. This is why this practice is so 50-50. On one hand, you can't ignore the rioters' cause, but they are committing actual crimes as well. And I am not here to give you an answer, cause that requires good political knowledge and research, which my dumbass has never done. Nonetheless, this is what MHA chooses to base its racism plotline on. And would it be better to have something more nuanced? Yes, but I think what we got is still good. A huge problem I and many other people have while reviewing media is judging the series based on what you wanted it to do rather than what it actually did. This plotline made me care about Shoji and Korra. They definitely have ranked up on my list. Pre-Final War me would not believe I got hyped up over Korra of all people. But that is how MHA is. Horikoshi has this unique ability to throw anyone in the limelight. Everyone gets their time to shine. Jiro, Mina, Shinzo, Monoma, Tokoyami, Minera, Yaminera, and even Gentle Criminal. It's surprisingly not surprising how we are in the final arc, and an episode dedicated to the sidest of the side character is in my top 5 episodes this season. This is what kept me coming back to the series every week, cause while I do have my favorites, I was not watching MHA for one or two characters. I always knew the story could surprise me using literally any character from the cast. And if this was everything, I would have chalked this down to just another dope MHA season. But what pushed me to make this video was the conclusion of a drama you could rarely find in anime. And that is, of course, the end of episode 19. The Todoroki family plotline packs the best character writing Horikoshi has to offer. It is by far the most complex and emotionally charged story within the series. Abuse, trauma, identity crisis, and not redemption but atonement. It's so rare that a series juggling so many sensitive topics doesn't get crushed under the weight of its own ambition, but somehow it manages it all. This is the kind of shit YouTubers will be making character analysis videos on for years, unpacking everything it has to offer, and we still probably won't explore every little detail of the story. That's how nuanced it is. And everything comes crashing down in this season. What comes next is some of the best visual metaphorical storytelling in anime. Endeavor is forced to face what he essentially created, and finally he realizes how simple it really was. All he had to do was see his son, to acknowledge him. We go back and forth from past to present, showing this eerie monster was just an innocent kid, and if Endeavor had the bare minimum love in him, this tragedy would never have happened. You can see in the shot how he holds Toya's flames, trying to bear and atone for his sins. But this time he doesn't have to do this alone. He has this flaw of always making himself the problem, the one that has to burden everything. And while he is the problem, he doesn't have to burden it all alone. Even a horrible man like him is blessed with a great family. All of them are here at the scene, and Toya got what he desired his entire life. Everyone's watching. Yes, that's how simple it was. Just acknowledgement. And Endeavor failed at that. I genuinely believe the last 2 minutes of this episode are a whole new level of emotionally breathtaking writing even for this storyline, and that is because this one scene is a masterpiece in a show that is constantly pushing the limits of great character drama. Normally for a scene like this, I would talk about writing or the execution that makes a scene carry such emotional weight, which, don't get me wrong, I already did plenty in this video, but I can't put my finger on the one thing that makes the scene work so well. Cause it's everything. It's a son so far off the path of greatness that he desired to achieve. It's a brother who was never allowed to even think of that greatness. It's a sister who tries her best but can't fix everything. It's a young kid forced to bear the sins of his family. It's a kind mother being betrayed for showing love and compassion. And it's a father who failed them all. This is the kind of story that pierces through your heart and sticks with you even after the episode ends. And I think that is the best description for a story like this. It's not a ride of hype and thrills, it's just raw, it's human. It's so powerful that it affects you on a personal level. It feels so heavy that you need to stop at the end of the episode just to comprehend what you just witnessed. It's a grim tale of just regret and atonement. And honestly, Todoroki family drama is just one of the many plots that get equal care and attention. Take Toga vs Uraraka. While many people brush it off as just talk no jutsu, it is so much more than that. This fight showcases how the current generation is trying to fix the old generation's flaws even better than Deku and Shigaraki. Casting away people just cause they are not normal is what turns them into villains. Why is it that the girl who loves seeing everyone around her smile has to fight so hard with a girl who just wants to smile? That's how fucked the society is, and these kids are trying to repair it. But what adds a new layer to these conflicts that I've seen only MHA done is the villains know this. They know what the new heroes are trying to achieve, but it's too late. Deku and Uraraka are trying to save people who are beyond saving. Not because they have turned into monsters who can't be saved, but because they don't want their saving. They have been through so much in their lives that the only thing liberating them is destroying the system that fucked them in the first place. This is the core theme MHA currently runs on, and I fucking love it. After watching and loving the battle shonen genre for years, it feels weird how most of MHA's stories don't even have to be fights. They can work just as well without them. It's a legend that just happens to tell its story with blasting action sequences, and every one of those action pieces is given enough meaning behind it for you to give a fuck beyond the action itself. This is why most fights come down to that one beautifully animated punch, because the emotional weight of that punch is insanely high. The show has been telling very human stories throughout the years, and I'm pleased to say it has delivered yet again. I was ready for My Hero Academia Season 7 to be big, but I was thoroughly unprepared for how big it actually got. This is why I firmly believe My Hero Academia has just set a new peak, and the only thing it still needs to do is successfully land its ending. And I'm not talking about an ending that is so incredibly crafted that it revolutionizes the industry. After everything it has already done, all it needs to do is not fumble the bag. And with the final season scheduled for 2025, we'll have to wait a year to see how it plays out. It's not another great show that'll fade away in past and move on after it's over, but something that define this modern generation of shonen. That's My Hero Academia. 勝とうぜ緑谷少年